Right, so I'm gonna attempt to talk you through my process of fitting skirting. Now, this first bit would have just been a square cut, and square cuts never sit against architraves very nice. So if you cut it again, but angled back slightly, so you undercut it by about 5 or 6 degrees, then try it again, bosh, much nicer, nice and tight. So now I've got that in the right place, I can now scribe the back of the other side. So just run my pencil up along the wall, put a little mark on the top to remind myself what way to cut it. Check to see if the wall's square. In this case, it isn't. Get another bit, mark up along the wall. I cut my skirting from the back so I can cut along the line that I just marked on there. I'm putting a little packer under this piece because the wall was slightly more than 90 degrees, or less. I think it depends how you look at it. But either way, the angle needs to be sharper. So I'll put that little packer under there just to give me a sharper angle. There we go. Try it in dry. Fine. Now I can glue this joint. Put a big blob of Mitomate on there. The thicker the blob, the more time you get to play around with it, trying to get the joint well aligned. And probably makes for a stronger joint as well, more glue. Put the activator on the other side. And then carefully line them up and press them together. Good bit of force for about 10 seconds. It should be fine. Once it's got, Put the lid back on that one. That style of activator dries up quite quick if you leave the lid off. Put something on the back, like CT1 or Stixall. Squish it on the wall. And then get a fixing in there. Knock on the wall, see what you're dealing with. In this case, it was masonry. Drill a hole. Countersink it. Brown plug. 4-inch screw, I believe. 3s will be fine, but I had 4s. Screw it up. On to the next bit. Right, so whenever you get this angle, it's nearly always 22.5 degrees. So the bit on the wall is cut at 22.5 degrees, and this bit was cut at 22.5 degrees. But it's obviously, there was a bit of a gap at the top there. So I recut it. I must have edited that bit out. And I would have tried it in dry too, but I must have edited that bit out as well. Always try your joints dry, see if they fit. So again, nice squirt of Mitomate on this one. Activator on t'other. Then take a deep breath. Try and get that joint to line as best you can. Once that joint's gone off, you can then fix. Make a judgment where you fix. Always be conscious of what you're fixing into. You won't always get it right, but 99 times out of 100, you'll probably be fine. Just give it a countersink. Brown plug. Scalpel. Screw. Now notice when I do this bit up, it follows the wall. You can see a bit of a curve in there. So I loosen the screw off slightly, just to take that curve out of the skirting board a little bit. Right, time for a little awkward bit. Put it in dry. So the angle that I'm butting into, the bit that's connected to the wall, that will just be a 22.5 degrees, cut square. And then this bit, I'll just play with it until it matches. I notice on this bit that it's sitting a little bit high because there's a hump in the floor. So it looks like it's about the thickness of half a pencil. So I'll just run my pencil along the floor, just over the hump. So all that's going to do is I'll take that hump out of the skirting board. And then by the time that sits nice tight to the floor, my joint will also be flush at the top. Be careful doing this. Planers, they can bite. Right, so try it in dry. There we go. You can see there's no gap under the floor now, in between the floor and the skirting. Nice and tight. Then I noticed the other side need doing as well. So just do what you've got to do so that it sits nice. You can see it's another hump again. You can see in the corner, it's like gap, then there's a hump, it gets tight, then there's a gap again. In, out, shake it all about. Right, so do what we've got to do on there. Then once you've done that, and you pop it back in, should look like it was born there. So again, try and dry. Yep. Looks good. Take it out, glue it up. Good amount of glue, and then fix it where necessary with a screw. So you don't have to go mad with the screws. As long as you put plenty of glue on there as well, should be fine. I just gave it a quick hoover up there as well so that don't get too much dust trapped under the skirting. Get it while you can get it. So stay calm, take a deep breath, and let's go for a join. And then once that joint's gone off, fix it where necessary. Now it appears I'm not bothering with the countersink anymore. If you drill into the wall, see, countersink that one, you kind of judge it on how solid the wall is. If you get a really good fixing, you don't need countersink because the screw will easily pull into the MDF. Even though MDF is a really hard material. But see, this one must have got a good fixing and I just knew that that was going to pull in. When they're not going to pull in, you need to give them that extra bit of ease. So give them a countersink. You definitely want those screws beneath that face, obviously. Now this bit, this scribe, I just butt a square bit of skirting into it. Oh no. No, look, I'm scribing to the floor first. So obviously there's a gap there that I need to get rid of. Or I just need to bring it down so it matches the same height as the bit you're going into. Maybe the pattern didn't line up, so I just knew I needed to take a little bit off the bottom. Right, then butt it into that skirting, run my pencil up along the piece on the wall, and that gave me my angle. Go outside to the chop saw, match the laser up to the angle line. It won't be much, you know, it'll be like 1 degree or something like that, but your pencil mark will tell you what it is. Angle the saw back so that you're now cutting out the scribe shape that you've just created. So you cut it on a 45 to create the scribe shape. And then what I'm doing here is then cutting out the scribe shape. There we go. Hopefully this view makes a little bit of sense. So when you cut it out, try and angle backwards. Angle it backwards so the face of it sits nice and tight, nothing gets in the way. You've got to be careful not to break your coping saw blade either, especially if it's the only one that you've got. Try it in. There we go. Make adjustments as necessary. Mark the angle. Run a pencil up the back. Try and get it where you want it. You have to use your discretion quite a lot doing stuff like this. And try to get a feel for things. Because there's a lot of subtleties. So this one, I'm going to do a method so you can find the angle. This was probably a situation where you could have just guessed the angle roughly and then installed your first piece, and then your second piece make the adjustments, the small adjustments to meet up with what you already put on. But this is a way to find an angle. So you use something parallel to put those marks on the floor, and then you draw a line where those marks intersect, going back towards the point on the wall. Then match that angle with a bevel. Now, temporarily, almost, put it on a piece of skirting so you can then twist your chop saw to find out what the angle is. You don't have to use your chop saw to find the angle, but this is how I'm doing it. So I match up the laser on my chop saw with that line I just put on from my bevel, find out what the angle is, because it will tell me by looking down at my angles. There we go. Just getting rid of the dust. Put it back to square and then tilt the saw to the angle that you want. So if it was like 13 degrees, then I'd go put the saw square, tilt the blade to 13 degrees. I hope this is making sense. I've got a feeling that it isn't. Hopefully, you pretty much know what you're doing and you're watching me going, I wouldn't do it like that. And you're probably right. So yeah, there we go. Now, you know my theory that that angle I just cut on that end doesn't have to be perfect. You can just meet up with it with the other piece. So when you've got an external joint like this, try not to ever fix a piece without first getting the cut on the other piece while you've got the chance. Obviously, if I installed that other bit of skirting, it would make it a lot more difficult to get an accurate mark on my piece of skirting. So while you've got the chance, mark them both. Internal corners aren't so bad. You can have a piece installed and you can work into it. So I would have tried this dry and I would have been happy with it. So now it's time to actually glue it together. So take a deep breath and stick. See that? I think I've lost my chance. Yeah, it didn't take properly. So you can try again, but it rarely works. Ideally, you're going to have to cut the glue off the joint because now you've got hard super glue on there, so it's never going to meet up that nice. I was being optimistic. Wasn't happy with it. Break it apart, clean the joints up on the chop saw. Try again. Now I've left this bit in here just to show you what it can be like sometimes. Yeah, it just couldn't get it together nice. Break it apart, do it again. Try it up here this time. Yep, couldn't get it. Had to cut it again. Literally had to do this bit like 5 or 6 times. I just couldn't get it. It nearly broke me. Then I got it. I'd be glad to get rid of this bit. Right, so the plug just didn't quite get it. So go for another one in there. Sometimes double plug work. Sometimes you have to go triple plug. Sometimes you have to go new hole. Alright, so I don't believe you have to go mental with the fixings. Just where you need it. As long as you've got lots of nice glue on there. Now again, I would have tried this dry and it obviously fit. Now notice, I wondered when I was editing this, I was like, why have I put a packer under there? So that packer, I'm now using it so that my pattern lines up perfectly. So there's a gap under there now because I had a packer under there. So I'll fix this side, which I know is nice and tight against the floor. I had to packer up that other side so that it matched the other bit because the other bit was a bit high. Undo that screw now, force that down, then fix that, and then I can do that other screw back up. There we go. Now it's tight against the floor. Quick little hoover. Keep the customer happy. Just in case they pop by while you're halfway through. You don't want to scare them. You know how scary a bit of dust can be to a customer. Right, so now I think I've shown you every joint there is. So you got them kind of angled butt joints. So the rest of this video is just sped up now, because I don't want to bore you. This one will be a scribe, which I'd already done, obviously. Edited that bit out or never recorded it, who knows? And we've got some nice little tricky little bits coming up. But I like the fiddly bits. There we go. Make it up as a square, then install it. Same again. These little internal bits where they're like in between walls, like this bit that's a scribe. Might do a separate video on it just to describe how I measure them. Basically, no, I'm not even going to go into it. No, I'm going to do a video on it. So, with a bit of luck, I've covered everything that I'm doing. And this is just one method of doing skirting, where I'm sure everyone's got their own way. This works for me, and I haven't worked with any other chibbies recently, so haven't been shown many other ways. This is a mixture of how I've been taught how to do it, mixed with how I think it should be done. Obviously, as time goes by, you slowly adapt what you do and how you do it. And with a bit of luck, you get better every time. And there we go. Room fully squirted. That was it. It was an accident, by the way. I swear.